So, Shaquita, what are your initial thoughts? I mean, first of all, we need to react to the reaction before we actually react ourselves. It's all over the news. Everybody's obsessed with it. Everybody's talking about it. So, what are your initial thoughts?
Well, first of all, I just don't understand why Black women in general should be happy about this at all. Because Prince Harry has, from reports, shown some very racist tendencies. And from what I understand, Meghan Markle is very adamant, saying that she is not Black. So, and then I think we have a lot more important things as a Black community, as Black women, as Black families to be concerned with. So that's a summary. I can go in a lot of depth once I hear what you have to say, No Blanca.
Well, I had to ask myself what the fascination is with this story. Personally, I've never had any interest in that royal family. I remember when Princess Diana got married some years ago, and everybody was glued to their TVs. And then some years ago, I don't even know her name, the girl who then married Diana's son. There was a whole thing about her when she got married, and there was this obsession with her and how she's having a kid and she's having another one, all this. So for me, it doesn't interest me because I feel like it has absolutely nothing to do with me. And I think that the only reason why they are so quote unquote royal is because we all collectively agree that they are. And to me, they're nothing, okay? Having said that, I do think there's some relevance here when you start seeing a person of color, which in spite of what she says she is, her mother's Black, her father's white, so she is a person of color, at least half, okay? When you see a person of color infiltrate a family that has a history of being very, very selective about who joins their family, you do have to ask a few questions. I certainly feel like I have to ask a few questions. What's going on? Why are they doing this? And that's where I've been for the last 2 days, today and yesterday, and asking this. And I've had a lot of people respond in many different ways. So it's not really a question of, although that question needs to be asked too, of why is she marrying him? We also have to ask, why is he marrying her? What's going on? What are we missing? So that was my initial thought and reaction.
So let me just share a couple images here. This is the beloved engaged prince at what is themed a racist party, where he has a Nazi swastika on, and he has a friend, I suppose, one dressed in blackface, and one dressed as a Ku Klux Klan member. Who is lucky in a scenario like this? Then we look at the map. If you look at the scramble for Africa, Europeans in Africa, the red represents Britain. Over a certain time period, I think that this has changed and evolved and whatnot. But why should, anybody Black be interested in being a part of a monarchy that their political agenda has been this? Then you have this. Prince William argues for urgent depopulation efforts in Africa. Like, who are you to come from your little rock in Europe and tell us that it's just too many Africans? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, and then for me, with all that being said, I'm about this. This is what I'm thinking about, the Black family. This is an Ethiopian monarch, a king in a Black nation, or is he a prince? To a Black African-American woman, okay? An American woman became an African princess last month when she married into the royal family of Ethiopia after meeting her future husband at a modern day ball. I think they're trying to be funny there. Yeah. But he's the great grandson of Haile Selassie, the last emperor of Ethiopia. That is what I want to see my community get excited about.
But Shaquita, even with this, we need to ask questions.
I mean, asking questions is fine, but let's start with the imagery. Let's start with, why is it that if there is this this supposition, this idea that some white racist monarchy may be accepting someone who doesn't even call themselves Black but has a tinge of tan. Why should we as Black women be excited about it? This is a backhanded insult, and like you said, this should be questioned as all of these types of relationships. An expert has said in an article, she will not be allowed to be a Black princess. The only way she can be accepted is to pass for white. Kehinde Andrews, an associate professor of sociology at Birmingham City University. So he says, if there are people who are celebrating, I don't get to celebrate. I can't go any further. No.
Well, let's talk about why she can't be a princess. Okay. First of all, it's not just her. It's just, and again, they can only make these rules and everybody agree with these rules if they want to, but here it is, that you have to actually be somebody in terms of having a title of your own when you marry a prince or a princess or whatever, to also then hold a title. If you don't have anything and you're a commoner, quote unquote commoner, like she is, then the only thing you can do is take on some other title. I think she's going to be a duchess or something like that, but not a princess, because she can't be one, because she isn't one. You know, that is, even I think even if she had been a white American woman, that'd be the case. But that's a little bit besides the point. What I can speak to is I don't see any cause for celebration as far as Black women anywhere in the world. They should not be happy for her. Already just out the gate, like you said, they're saying that she can't be what she married into. She really can't be. She's always going to be othered. I don't see why in any situation, a young woman like her, who's, you know, she's accomplished in her own right, why would she put herself in a position where she then becomes the lowest of the low in the situation and will always be the lowest of the low? I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you say you fell in love and that's your reason for getting married, you are stupid, okay? It means that you have no foresight. You don't think about your generational success. You don't think about what marriage actually means. You're literally telling us that your feelings are directing your whole life, and not just a decision like what you're going to do next week, what you're going to do forever. And that to me is stupid. And it sounds like that's what they're doing. So the whole thing to me is just stupid.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, this person, Kehinde Andrews, says that in the article that I'm reading from, that that people are considering her as Black in the UK. And he says that the family is really strongly a symbol of British Empire whiteness, he said. Having a splash of coffee in the monarchy doesn't make any bit of a difference. It doesn't change what the monarchy is. It doesn't change what it represents. He says his white neighbor was almost mourning because the royal family should, quote, reflect the natives of the country, the neighbor said. After all, you wouldn't have a white person in the Indian royal family. Hey, look, I'm with her. No, I'm just playing. Let me not say that. Let me just read one more comment that I saw that just talks about how people feel about this. This person on Facebook said, guess what? The British royal family and the concept of royalty in general is an anti-Black and classist as F. The fact
But that's what I said initially. I was like, you have to agree with them that they're royal and then dig deeper about why they're even royal. It requires us to go along with it.
Is that what it is? Like, this because the inbreeding, the incest thing?
That's part of it. There's inbreeding, there's stealing, hoarding. And the thing about it is, for me, that means nothing. When you talk about royalty in terms of what Africans understand as royalty, it's a totally different concept than what these people, for them, it's like, I mean, I watched a bit of a documentary yesterday called, I think it was called The House of Windsor, because somebody recommended I watch it when I asked the question of why is he marrying her? And honestly, all it is it's a bunch of people who decided that they want to have the most money, power, and influence, and they'll do whatever they need to do to keep it. They'll marry whoever they need to keep it. But that still begets the question, why marry her? Because that does not increase their power and wealth, not in a way that we can overtly see. So you have to wonder what it is.
Yeah, and I speculate that it furthers their ability to be sneaky about an agenda. In another article, it says about Prince William, who talks about depopulating Africa, which has always been something that Europeans are obsessed with, talking about the rapidly growing human population of Africa. The Rising Tide of Color Against White World Domination is a book written by a Harvard graduate who goes into this. But in the article, they say, while it might not be one of the most pressing issues in American politics today, population control and eugenics has unfortunately been embedded in our society for decades. Okay, so this is something that they do sneakily and sometimes overtly. Like I was saying, the person on Facebook said that the fact that you all are raving that a man is engaged to a mixed woman tells me all that a lot of you all you want is a seat at the table to participate in the same system that victimizes us. And this guy, this Prince person, is only where he is and as wealthy as he is because of what was stolen from our ancestors.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So what the F is there to be happy about? Stop it.
And the thing about it is some people took the angle, well, at least one of us is going to get in there and get some of it. Actually, no, she's not. They're already out the gate saying, look, she's not getting a title, because when you get a title, a certain title comes with certain things, right? When right out of the gate, people are saying, well, she's not going to get the official title of such and such. That already means that whatever is due to a person with that title is not due to her. If she's going to be anything, she's going to be a breeder. She's just going to be somebody that they breed with. That's it. She's just going to be a breeder. And if she decides to leave, she's going to be like Diana, who leaves with nothing. And if you don't act right after you leave, you might have a car accident.
Right. Another Facebook person said, people living through others. What does her engagement have to do with your everyday life? Black girl magic, question mark. She doesn't even want to be black. Britain used to finance slave ships, and her boo is living off the proceeds. So I'm over this BS. Wow. Imagine that. Somebody.
Well, at least we're seeing a lot of people who have some clarity about it, because a lot of people were wondering, why is so many people obsessed with this? And somebody actually said, maybe it feeds into that whole prince gets rescued by, a prince on a horse and, gallops off into happily ever after. Huh?
I said, please spare me. Please get.
So if you're going to look at, she's people being happy for her, they're happy that she gets her happily ever after. But yeah.
My thing is this. Let me see. I want to see, put this on the cover of an article. This is what I want to see all day. This is what I get excited about. Black couple revolution, Black people having, building strong Black families. And I blame us for, or I blame those, but I really am not surprised by people who are still on that bandwagon. But I'm, like you said, I'm proud of those people who I just really don't get into this whole colorism thing, and I want to be swirling thing. I'm all about the Black family and uplifting the Black family. If it doesn't have anything to do with that, it doesn't have anything to do with me. So I'm out of that. I think we just need to embrace our Blackness, build our Black families, and we need to be trying to find out what territories in this world we can build monarchies in and continue to see Black people flourish and be under the control of other well-meaning Black people.
Yes, and I think one of the things that it's been said enough, but I'll say it again. We can honestly stop by switching off the TV. Because some of these ideas are built off of what is fed to us through television. I mean, we wouldn't even know what this random guy in England is doing with this random girl in LA if we didn't have the TV feeding it to us and telling us it's the most important thing, because it's on every channel, on every blog, and even on the news. So we wouldn't think it was important, right? That's one of the first things. Then we have to also explore what is fed to us about relationships and the purpose of marriage. The purpose of marriage, one of the things is to perpetuate yourself, right? More of you, okay? And to build wealth, to build influence, and build success that is sustainable, that you can pass down and keep passing down and keep passing down. I don't see how that is possible while you get your reality from television. I just don't see how that's possible. All you see on television is a bunch of women who emasculate their men, and you cannot build with an emasculated man. You see a bunch of fairy tales just like this, with somebody galloping in and then carrying you away from your people, right? There's just so many instances where everything that you see through the television is contradicting what you really should be doing. And people might say, well, why blame TV? But the thing is, what conclusion could I draw when people are obsessed and calling this woman a princess? Where did they get thinking? The thing with me is I feel like a lot of Black people, especially here in America, overuse the term queen. You know, everybody's a queen, everybody's a king, and blah, blah. But the truth is, I really do. I always say it. As far as my household goes, I absolutely am the queen, and my husband absolutely is the king, and that's what we perpetuate in our household. So you want to be a princess or a queen or whatever, do it in your own house.
Well, I mean, I think just piggybacking on what you're saying is really we need to stray away from, reject, and turn our backs completely on European storylines, which is really nothing more than propaganda. You know, I showed videos of Black couples and Black fathers from a Facebook group called Global African Entertainment and Imagery Standards, because we need to start to direct the images and the way we are portrayed in entertainment. And that goes back to what you're saying, because right now this is a thing. Like, how is swirling a thing when this has been happening since Europeans left their land and encountered any brown Black people? They have been doing this thing since that time. And, you know, it's amazing to me how there's Black women out there who encounter a Black man who may have made a mistake and tripped them, and they can't forget that. But yet this whole historical context, they just throw that right out of the window. You forgot that this dude had a swastika on. You forgot that Serena's now husband runs a website that is a haven for racists. I mean, you forget all of that. And so, you know, again, that's some garbage. That's for really feeble-minded and misguided, misdirected, sunken place individuals that I really don't care to address. You know, for me,
tell them how you really feel, Shapira.
For me, it's about things like I said, that Ethiopian prince marrying a Black woman, or like you said, let us see ourselves as Ethiopian melanated Black kings and queens that should be working together to build a nation, not looking over at some European storyline about that same thing that's being erected to destroy us. So that's as much as I have to say about that. I mean, I didn't tell people where they can find us. We do talk about, you know, uplifting the Black image and Black family all the time at marriedwomensbiz.com. So, you know, that's the most that I can really get into that. I just hate that there may be young girls, young women, these young women, and they're 18, 19, 20, and they have us, too many of us Black women in the media and things like that, like really turning them into this breeder place. I mean, you know, it's just like, it's just mind-boggling to me. And again, I talk about Renethia McBride's book, Pieces of a Puzzle, because you need to understand that there's cultural differences related to relationship and sexuality that feed into this. And I would not want my daughter getting entangled with something like that. And I don't care what kind of, you could give me whatever kind of crown, honey. You could not pay me. You can't pay me enough, honey. Woo, you cannot. No, not when it's a black king, honey. If it's one black man on earth, I'm going for that one. Fight me over him.
See, the other thing is, I think people lose sight of what they're doing, you know, because when you think about think about what we're building, right?
Mm-hmm.
And why we're building it and what our future means. And then you think about what that random woman in Hollywood is building and what that means for her. I'm not saying what's her game plan. And the thing is, the only thing I'm hearing is they did an interview and he said from the time he saw her, he knew blah, blah, all this other stuff. But I really think that one of the most important things that we need to address here is this idea that you can be so infatuated with another person that you tie the rest of your life to that person without any thought about your future and future generations. That is stupid. I know I said it on the onset, but we need to come back to it. If the only reason, if he really is a monarch and you buy into the idea that he is a monarch and a king and whatever and all this other stuff, a prince, why would his infatuation cause him to do this and disrupt everything that's going on?
I'm going to tell you what we're going to be reporting on next.
What?
We're going to have a picture of Miss Meghan, half black, half white, or whatever she is.
Gray. Apparently she says she's gray.
She says she's gray. We're going to have her gray ass and Prince Harry, a picture of both of them over there giving some, what do you call those things? Immunizations in Africa. That's what we're going to see. That's the picture we're going to see, because that is going to allow them to go, oh, here, we're bringing the black princess to give you a shot. Sit real still. That's how that's going to go. So.
But I mean, at the end of the day, we do have to have some kind of lessons that we can draw from here. Even though these people are so far removed from us. There's nothing about her that makes me think about myself. There's nothing about him that makes me think about me. But it is the same thing. I mean, we went through this with Serena Williams. The people were celebrating for her just in the same way they're celebrating for this young woman. And I want to speak to one of the things that's underlying here, okay? It's the ends ain't S crowd, right? Mm-hmm. Ends ain't S.
Right.
And that's underlying there, okay? Get you a prince, boo. Go across, anybody but them. And nobody will say it, but why else would you celebrate?
Girl, look,
why else would you encourage that? Why else would you bring that to the forefront? Huh?
I don't know what they're looking at, honey. I mean, the husband, the black man. How can somebody convince you of that? I just can't. I just can't. It's just, what's the do? I'm not going to name anybody because, my husband is everything to me. And just, but I'm just saying, when you compare, why are you guys being, it's just like we can be easily conned out of our birthright, out of our riches, out of whether it's land or physical humanity or our genetics or our seed as far as our womb. I mean, you can just have to understand that Europeans have factually taken land, diamonds, minerals, people,
anything you can think of, anything that is to take.
Our wombs through hysterectomies, our body parts through organ harvesting, our children as far as abortion, and then selling those aborted body parts for whatever scientific thing they want to do, our patents for ideas that we've had. I mean, the list does not stop. It's ongoing, and every day more and more is being added to the list. But you have something to say about black men who founded all civilization, who Count Volney said that this same black man that we are oppressing and we call our slave today, we owe all credit for speech,
And
Matthew.
who are still surviving and thriving in spite of everything that you said that has gone on, still surviving and still thriving. And I'll go back to my original point, Shaquita, that this is how propaganda works. Because when you speak to somebody and you tell them that this is your option and this is another option, there's no way they would choose the option that is detrimental to them unless they've been fed continuously a message that tells them something else and confuses things until they can clap hands and say, whoa, yay, Meghan is over there, you know, she got her a prince. Who cares?
I mean, I don't know. It's like at a certain point, I'm just like, you got eyes just like I got eyes. God gave you a brain just like I got a brain. They said that Blake Shelton was the sexiest man alive. Okay? They said that this print
but I expect that, Shaquita. Who owns that magazine? Who are the editors?
So this is my point, Noma. They said that Blake Shelton was the sexiest man alive. Now, all of these people who went to see Girls Trip and saw, what's his name? Sarobit Carrick.
I know who you're talking about, yes.
His name. Hold on. Girls Trip. Okay, but this is the thing. You got eyes. You saw this young man and you sat up here and believed that garbage. Did you really? You really believe that? Now, let me because I just need to make it clear. Now, you telling me you don't see the difference between a Prince Harry and a Blake Shelton and this young black specimen right here. Do a close up. There you go. You don't see the difference? Your mind is not telling you, wait a minute. Your mind isn't saying anything to you. So, okay, now let's get real. Now, you really need to just use what's in front of you. Use the basics that God gave you.
Peter, you just put his face there. Do you know that if you turn on the news and they say there was a robbery and a killing and some kind of heinous crime, do you know what they do? They do what you just did and associate it with that.
We got to be smarter than that, though. We have to be smarter. We have to change. We have to turn the page on all of that. Well, they fooled me. They tricked me. You know, back in the day, like when, you know, say, for instance, somebody stole your lunch money at school or did something to you, your mother's like, look, at a certain point, you're going to have to stand up for yourself and know better. I'm not going to keep letting you come home play the victim. If somebody stole your lunch money, then you're just not gonna have lunch. And that's just, you know, that's just what it amounts to at the end of the day. If we're gonna keep letting people steal from us, abuse us, misdirect and misguide us, you know, and then we propagate it. I mean, we propagate it because we allow our children to be raised by television media entertainers that tell them in no uncertain terms that you're nothing. You're nothing. The blacker you are, the closer you are to nothing. I mean, as far as when I say nothing, I mean not even human, not even worthwhile. We allow that to happen. So we can't leave it up to others to course correct that. We have to take on that burden and we have to do what we need to do. So, I mean, I'm over that whole thing. Oh, they sabotaged me. They confused me. Damn, I mean, how confused can you be? I mean, I just showed you. I don't even have to show you Blake Shelton. I mean,
I'm still at the point, Shaquita, of I had no expectation that they would choose anybody other than, I mean, one year it was Matt McConaughey. He looks like a dirty, filthy farmhand. I mean, but he does. That's how he looks to me. But they put him on the cover and they're like, oh my God, look at him. But then again, I had to think to myself, whose magazine is this? Who are the editors in the background? Who is controlling this narrative, right? And when I understood that and I applied that, then it made sense. That's what they like. Okay, in my magazine, it's gonna look different. But hey, do I have my magazine? Yay or nay, okay? If you started a magazine, if I started my magazine, would you all come along? And that's where we need to be, you see?
This is the thing. I don't care whose magazine it is. I would be several things for, man, what's the dude's name? Kofi Sarobe?
Mm-hmm.
Let me get this man name right. Anyway, I would be several things for him before I would be a princess or a queen to Harry. Because just because they said he's a prince, I see him as the complete opposite of anything to do with being a prince or a king. So you could just miss me with that. And hopefully, I mean, again, we saw a lot of people on Facebook because, like you said, a lot of these mainstream media entities, they're trying to force feed a narrative down our throat. And I'm just thankful that there's a lot of people on social media that can speak their minds and say, get that.
Even with Kofi, nothing against the brother, but even when we start with him, we got to go deeper than just, ooh, look how good he looks. Because then down the line, there's going to be something else that we're complaining about.
Look, you could start.
But that's a good starting point.
Look, you know what I'm saying? If it quacks like a duck, it walks like a duck, it looks like a duck, it's a duck. I mean, you know, the outside, that's just like you say, fruit and vegetables that have color give you an insight into the molecular strength, the mineral strength of that vegetable. So, I mean, there's a lot to say about the exterior, and I'm not speaking sexually, and I'm not lusting over this person. I am talking about this as a specimen of humanity. You know, this is, you got to dig deep on this. This is chemistry. This is science. I'm not talking about the sexuality part. You know, I'm not talking about that. So again, I really don't want to go to this place.
Well, okay. I mean, obviously, this is we've made our point. Okay. So the original question was whether we should be celebrating this whole thing. No, we should be ignoring her, and we should send that girl a tape of Get Out and be done with her.
We should
be just move on. Huh?
Be honest, like you said, ignoring is the better thing because she said she's not black, honey.
That's what I said. Just ignore her, but just out of the kindness of our hearts, because that's the kind of people we are. We send her a tape of Get Out, and if she can't read between the lines, so be it.
Hey, look, thank you guys for viewing. Noma, I really appreciate you having this conversation with me. It was interesting. You guys can